Hello everyone, this is General Hand Grenade. Welcome to my war room at Prince George, British Columbia. We are in January of 1943 of this game that I'm playing. This is a game where I'm trying out new rules and of my own, and also some proposed new rules for the next version of this game from Historical Board Gaming. If you want to know what happened in the game to this point, then go back a few years. The videos are all on my profile there. I'm going to put them all into a playlist soon. I was waiting till I gathered enough videos, but anyway, I'm getting pretty close to that point that I can make a playlist just about any time. So, big things happened that turn. Big things. I've been talking all the game about how the Italians needed to do something. Look at that. All they got left is a damaged battleship. All the British boats are gone. All the Italian boats are gone except for that one, and all their aircraft is gone too. They had 5 planes. That was the only reason they were able to go and attack them, was because they did have 5 planes on the land that could hit that spot. And you know, the thing is, they had to do something, because you know, I took the British turn before them, and the British got further ahead of them. You know what I mean? It just kept getting worse and worse and worse for the Italians. It's like they needed to do something now, or they needed to just stay out of the game for the rest of the game. And so they decided, well, what the hell, you know? It's not like we're playing for money. so they attacked the British, and man, it was a close fight. It came down. Like, I probably would have preferred to keep one of the planes, right? But the thing is, the battleship fights at a higher roll, and it was coming right down to it, and so I needed to lose the lower rolls. The last roll, there was 2 battleships against 1 battleship, and so they both hit on the last round of combat. Not surprisingly, because battleships fight it at a high dice roll. So anyway, just 1 left. And then, of course, they've got their transport over here as well. But that'll probably die this turn. Like, there's a British fighter over here, and unless they can protect this somehow, and the only way I can see is to fly some German plane over there, or something. But I think it'd be in the Allies' best interest to take both of these transports out. Both of them are unprotected now, and there's no aircraft there right now. So what else has happened? Big, like you wouldn't believe how big the swings are on the Eastern Front here. The Germans go and take their turn, and it just looks hopeless for the Russians. And then the Russians take their turn, and then it looks okay again. Like the Germans had taken this place, and they had 8 units sitting there. 8 units. And the Russians didn't have 8 units to hit them back with. I think they only had 7. But I mean, one of they were able to use 3 aircraft, including their MiG-9, and the MiG-9 fights at 8 plus 1, because I think they had he come from a place where there was a commander, so he was able to fight at a higher rate that way, and so they were able to take this spot back. But then, like, you look again, and the Germans could go again, and they've got these things. So then it's up to the Russians to hit back. The one big thing that happened this turn, it took a long time, but the Russians were finally able to get advanced artillery. That's one of the best things that you can get as the Russian, because you've got these Katyushas here. I don't know if that's how you pronounce it or not, but these things here, they attack at 5. And like, you don't even they go 2 spaces, they attack at 5, they only cost 5, so they're great to have. Those are those rocket things, right? The rocket things on top of the truck. So they were able to buy a couple of them this turn, and because they had bought the required amount of heavy armor, they were able to put what is this, it's the new one anyway, from the Russian super weapons. Sorry, my brain is working overtime right now. I just finished a pretty hard turn there. So this thing they put on Tankograd. First time, though, that they haven't put more on Tankograd. like haven't put all 3 units on. But the thing is that they need to buy lots of infantry, right? Because like 10 infantry is going to be better than 2 tanks on defense, because infantry are actually pretty good for defense. They defend at 4, right? Whereas a tank is going to defend at 5. And the Russians are definitely on the defense here. But when you look at it though, like if the same thing happens here, these guys go, and then the Russians are able to take them back, then there's not much in behind over here. And this is a big deal, because if the Germans get Transcaucasia there, then they can, then they get, hang on a second, let me just turn this off. If they can get Transcaucasia, then they get all of Turkey here. They get all the units in there and everything. They don't even have to fight them. It just all goes there. That's why they're putting so much effort into trying to get down to Transcaucasia there. So they're trying. Anyway, so what else? And up here, the other thing, like these guys just forgot about going after Moscow. Like there was no point. But there was a lot of Russian units here, a lot of high value units. So rather than just go this way, then the Germans came here and took it out, even though they knew they were going to lose their guys here. But if they took this out like they did, then the Russians had nothing left to come after these guys over here. So the Russians are sitting pretty good on defense up here, although the Germans do have quite a few units in there. And the Russians are starting to bring, like they've got 5 of these small tanks and an artillery. They're bringing these back here. They did try to do a convoy here, but they failed on that. So that's what's going on the Eastern Front there. You can see there's not many German units behind. You got to remember, Germany's got to pile a bunch of units over there, and they're looking pretty solid over there. Like any one of those places is vulnerable, of course, to the Americans with 5 or 6 transports like they have. But then they've got all that to counterattack with, right? So over here, let's just take a look at what the Japanese did. The Japanese didn't do much. The British had taken this spot on the last turn, so the Japanese took it back. And on my last video, who was it there? Wildcat has his own channel too. He pointed out to me that you could fight partisans with cavalry as well. And the good thing is that they go 2 spaces, right? Plus they attack at a higher rate than infantry do. So I did throw 4 cavalry down here so that I could have better rolls against these partisans down here, right? And these guys were having pretty good success down here, the Anzac, at picking off destroyers. They were sitting here and here, and it would have been easy for the Japanese to come down and take them. But the problem with that is, then there was a bunch of guys here, like there was another submarine over here. They could have come up and hit them, and then the Americans could have come across, because the Americans are just sitting right there, right? They could have come across and hit them too. The Japanese kind of got to be careful now, right? Because the Americans are in striking range. The Anzac are sitting pretty good. In the fight down here, there was 2 Anzac subs lost and 2 Japanese destroyers lost. So Japan only has 2 destroyers left on the board, because Anzac has been picking off all their destroyers down here. The Japanese have been using the destroyers for blockers, right? And so Anzac's just picking them off. And the Americans thought long and hard about coming after these guys. Like I think that they could have taken them out, right? But the problem is that these guys come down from up there and take them out, and then there's not much of a American Navy back there, right? So Japan has time to build up again. So I thought I'd wait another turn. Like I was able to get some more units from up there down into this Navy over here. So they're a little bit stronger now. Where they're really focusing is on 2 places, right? Right there and then right here. Again, I was going to go this turn, but I thought, no, I'll wait one more turn give the British a chance to get ready so they can do a double assault with the British. The British they were focused down here. Now that this has played itself out down here, the British have way more units in Africa than these guys do, and they're not worried about any more units coming down to Africa. So this is secure for them now, and Gibraltar's secure for them. Like, they got to really worry about the Suez Canal and Gibraltar, but they normally, but they don't have to worry about them now because of the loss of the Italian Navy. And that was the problem with Italy going, was, like, they were a threat, and you didn't know where that threat was going to be. You know what I mean? It was a threat projection. They could have gone this way, they could have gone this way. And so now there is no threat, and now the British can make a more solid plan. So their more solid plan will probably be able to build more transports up there, and just them and the Americans just start pounding the Western Front. And the Americans, this turn, for the most part, they spent their money up here. Other than those 2 boats that you've seen off of San Francisco over there that they finished off, they built more transports and more ground units, so that, and then the next turn they'll do it again. These guys are falling off here. So this is what they have sitting on the Azores right now, and then this is what they have sitting on Washington. So they'll bring these to the Azores, and the guys from the Azores will go to maybe Normandy. I don't know. We'll see. We'll see what Germany does, right? And France can finally do something now too, because they had to congregate as well. They couldn't move anywhere because of that threat from the Italian Navy. The Italians could have come down and just completely wiped them out, right? But with the British now, they can just squeeze these guys here and take these guys out. Like, the Italians might even be gone this turn, right? Down in Africa. Certainly they'll be gone in 2 turns down here. But like, I've talked a lot about how rich this game is. Let me just try to find a good spot for this. Like, here, these guys haven't done anything up here, nor have these guys done anything down here, because you got to think about that, right? The Germans don't want to give the Allies a point, right? So if they were to take out this spot and this spot, then at the end of the game, there's a point for communism touching France, like being on the border of France. Doesn't matter what border it is, but on the border of the French homeworld. So as it is right now, the Allies have lost a point, right? And the Russians can't afford to put anything down here to attack the Germans, because the Germans just keep pounding them over here. So the Russians have to put everything they have over there on the Eastern Front, and can't afford to put anything down here. And like, it would have been a different story if the nationalists have won the Civil War. The Russians don't want to go and provoke the Germans up here, because then the Germans would have to take care of that, right? They'd have to make sure that doesn't happen again. And so they could wipe these guys out pretty easily. Like, there's only 4 units down here. I guess there's some in Portugal as well, but there's not many Russian units down here. So the Russians don't really have much to mount an offensive against them, and the Germans don't care. They would rather that the Russians just sat right there and did nothing, because the Germans could have got a point if they'd won the Spanish Civil War, like if the nationalists did. But they can't get a point for that now. There's nothing they can do down here that's going to get them any points at the end of the game at this point. Italy can't get any points out of there anymore. They lost the war there, so they're not going to gain any points. So might as well let the Russians have one or both of these places here, and that makes the Allies lose a point, right? So that's what they're doing there. But there's a lot to think about, right? It's not just a simple matter. I think I've gone over everything. Of course, nothing's happened in South America there. Nothing's happened in the Middle East. Nothing really happened in Africa except for planes taking off and everybody getting into that fight there. These guys had a skirmish here. They took them back. So nothing really going on too much down here. And I think you're up to date. So we will be going to July of 1943 next. So we're back to the latter half of 1943 now, and I thought I'd set the camera up on this side here so you could get a look at the Atlantic Wall over here, because it is about to be breached in the next turn. Was going to do it this turn, but I didn't have any British I only had one British transport. I thought it would be more effective if I hit them back to back, because if the Americans had hit them just now, because the American turn just ended, then the Germans had a chance to counterattack it before the British could go. So I want to go back to back and hit them. One thing they did do, you see this heavy bomber here. It came over here. There was some high value units in Paris, and he carpet bombed them. Managed to take a couple of them out. So he took out what was it there? It was mechanized infantry that was SS, and it took out an artillery as well. So that's going to make it harder for them to counterattack for sure. Man, one other thing that you might notice, I've got the fascist roundels on the board now. It's not all of a sudden that I've turned into a Nazi or anything. The thing is, like, I had those in my closet, and I had more of those than I had the other ones, because I knew that I probably wasn't going to have enough to play this game. So I thought I'd try those other ones, these ones here. Panzer King has them, and so I thought I'd try these, and the reason I had to pull them out is because the Germans took too much territories. Like, I ran out of roundels, and the game, this game is unbelievable in the twists and turns that it can take. Like, the Germans were so strong when they came through here. Like, they took Leningrad here, they had Smolensk, and also they came through here, and they took this space here and this space. If you remember at the end of the last turn, they'd taken this space, but then these guys were able to come down and take them out, so that put them back again, right? So they took this space and this space. They only went in here with one dude, but they brought in their Air Force, right? All these planes over here. And so that left these guys over here so that they could keep going, and that's what's going to happen. But the thing is, with partisans, you can put as many partisans down as there are the number on the territory. And Transcaucasia is worth 5. That means that they were able to put 5 partisans down. Or sorry, not partisans, militia, I mean. So now they've got 6 militia here. But these guys should be able to take that out with their Air Force and with these high value units they got down here. They should be able to take Transcaucasia out, and then that will annex these territories here for from the Turkish, and also give them an extra 3 IPP there when that happens. So yeah, but anyway, then the Russians took their turn, and the Russians came back and just trounced them here in Leningrad. Like, you see, they've got the Order of the Red Banner for taking back red cities, like cities with their name written in red on them here. So what happens is those units will get to re-roll. Like, they roll, oh, I missed, so they re-roll again once per round, I think, or per turn. I'll find out. But anyway, yeah, they came back and they just kicked ass over here. They knocked out a bunch of big units right here, like heavy tank and I can't remember, I think it was a self-propelled artillery. A bunch of big units there anyway, that the Germans had. So what else? Yeah, and then so you look there, and it's a while, like they don't have much units back in here, right? So they've got all their eggs up here, and they're going to take that out, and that's going to give them that. But the Russians, they're looking pretty good now, right? Whereas they weren't. Like, at the end of the German turn, it looks like Russia's done. You know what I mean? And then at the end of the Russian turn, it looks like Germany's done. That's what I mean by so many twists in this game. So then the Russians are just screaming at the Americans, you got to get into this. You got to attack that guy. Don't worry about the British. Because the other big thing that happened this turn is the Japanese declared war on the Russians here. And they took out all 3 territories. Like, they took out every Russian unit that was here, except for this boat here, but I think that boat's supposed to come off now. when they lose the territory. I'm pretty sure that's what happens. I'll check it out in the Manchukuo rules before I continue. But I'm pretty sure this boat's supposed to come off. But yeah, they took out everything here. So they're wide open here too. You look at that. There's no Russian units until you get to Tankograd over here. So there's lots of room for the Japanese to expand. And the Russians have got their hands full over here, right? So it's a good thing they've got lots of money. Like they've got lots of money because they have this up here and because they have Spain and Portugal down there. So that gives them an extra, I think, 11 IPPs between them. One of the things I forgot to do the last few turns, and so I rectified that, was the American minorities at war. I was supposed to be playing with those too. And so what happens is that you're supposed to start with those when America goes to war with a major power. And that was 5 turns ago, including the turn that just ended, right? And so what I'm going to do, like what I did was I pulled 4 markers, and I'm gonna pull one more. I thought I'd do that while I was on camera here, just to show you what they're like. I had a message from a friend of mine yesterday who was wondering about the expansion sets. Actually, it wasn't a message; it was a comment on one of my videos. He was wondering about the expansion sets and are they going to be updated when the new rules come in, like when the new board comes in and everything. And I was saying to him that, you know, that they probably don't really need to do that because those expansion sets are rules in themselves. Like they're over and above the rules that are in this game. So it doesn't really matter what the rules of the game are. Those other rules are above that, right? But then it got me to thinking after I replied to him, about some of the older expansion sets and how they are not really in line with the newer ones, right? Like here, let's just grab this American Minorities at War one. Now with this one here, this is much like this American Minorities here. I'll just set the camera there so you can read this while I'm talking. This is much like the, try to tip it down a bit. It's much like the elite of the Reich and the elite of the Soviet Union in that you get a chip underneath something and it's probably going to be +1 attack and defense. With these ones, there's a couple of other things, like it might not be that. It might be re-roll something or get a free unit or something, right? But it's basically the same thing. But back when this set came out, it was a long time ago, right? When there was only a few expansion sets. And so they wanted you to pay 15 IPP in order to implement this scheme. And so nowadays, when they come out with expansion sets, you don't have to pay. You know, you just, okay, well, I'm playing the elite of the Reich, and you grab the black chips and away you go. You know what I mean? Whereas the older expansion sets, you had to pay. So I've waived the cost of that. And the other thing is, it was a good idea too, where what you had to roll the dice. A 1 to 6 meant you got a chip, and a 7 to 12 meant you didn't get a chip. And the reason for that was because of the inherent bias against the minorities back in the 1940s. You know, like they didn't really want them fighting beside them, right? And so you had to roll the dice to see if there was still that inherent bias. Too much bias against that one particular unit that they didn't get into the war, and that's a good idea and everything. But at the same time, the other guys don't have to worry about that. You know, the elite of the Soviet Union. I mean, you just look at the number of chips that are on there. You know, like these chips. All these guys have to do is attack somebody, and they get 2 chips, right? If they take a city, everybody gets a chip, right? And the elite of the Reich, like. There was I've just attacked a bunch of them, but there's so many black chips underneath them, you know, like they get them so easily, whereas these guys only get 1 per turn, maybe, you know what I mean? And the reason I threw this set into this game, this particular game, was because there's 3 factions in the game, and there's 3 sets that are similar. So this one for the Allies, and then there's the one for the Comintern, and the one for the Axis, right? So I thought I'd try to even it up. So these guys just get their chip, that's it. They don't have to roll the dice, they don't have to pay the money, nothing like that. So what I've done is I put them all in the historical board gaming pouch here. You shake them up. I'll show you the ones that I've got first, but here I'll just show you. Like I just pull one out. I don't know what's coming out of here. So that's it, right there. And it is the 442nd. So which one is that one? 442nd Regimental Combat Team. Infantry gains +1 attack and defense. So what I would do is, it doesn't say, oh wait a minute, like it might say there's a free infantry, right? Like that's just the table there, which is like an easy access to it. So I'll look in the rule set here, because it explains more about how to use it. It might be that you get a free one, right? Just gotta find it here. 400, what was it, 442nd? That's the 452nd. Okay. This is why you have the table, because it's easier to go through it than flipping through all of these things, right? Okay, I think I found it. Okay, so they're a Japanese-American Infantry Regimental Combat Team. Now, it says here the legacy of the treatment of Japanese Americans during World War II was one of suspicion, internment, and mistreatment. Despite the 442nd Regimental Combat Team fought with distinction and became one of the most decorated units of its size in American history. Of the 14,000 men who served on the team, 9,486 of them earned Purple Hearts, and 21 were awarded the Medal of Honor. So to use this, place it underneath any one infantry unit in the continental United States. This represents the 442nd Regiment being attached to this unit. The unit may not retreat. It gains a +1 attack and defense. When destroyed, you may rebuild it in the United States. So this one chip you can actually use over and over and over again. Some of them, like once you've used it, then it's done, right? Every one of these chips is different. But there is a restriction on this one. Due to the inherent and unfounded concern of loyalty at the time, this unit may not be deployed to the Pacific Theater. So that is like this guy over here. This one here were Japanese Hawaiians. Much the same thing. It had to go down either here or on Hawaii, and these guys have to make their way across the United States and fight in the Atlantic Theater. So this one is this one that I just drew, much the same thing. And again, these guys are +1 attack and defense. So this one here, this one's really cool. This is one of the most valuable ones. This is the Navajo Code Talkers. You probably heard of the Navajo Code Talkers. They were Navajo. Actually, there was more than just the Navajos. There was other type of Indians from the United States that took part in this. But what they did was they were able to talk on the radio and use it like in their own language to each other to relay orders. And the Japanese weren't able to understand what they were saying. So, you know, like there was no way they could break that code. The only thing they could have done was captured one of them and tortured him, you know. But even then, like, who's to say the guy's not lying, right? Oh yeah, they're going over here or they're doing that or whatever. Like, I mean, it was a brilliant plan, right? So anyway, if you get that one there, then 3 American ships on one turn get to go 1 space extra. So you're looking at, you know, like going 3 spaces already, and an air or naval base is 4, and then these guys could go 1 extra, so 5. You can make one significant raid with that chip there. There's a couple other chips over here, like here, this one here, your anti-aircraft is kicked up, and I got one up there in with those ones over there. It's an artillery, so I think the artillery is +1 attack and defense. It's either that or re-roll a miss. I can't remember, but I'll definitely look at it when I go to use him, right? So anyway, American minorities are at war in the game. And where was I? Oh, the Japanese. Yeah, they kicked the shit out of the Russians up there. The Americans and the Japanese, they're just waiting for somebody to blink. Like they're in reach of each other every time, right? But one of the things that, like the Japanese were going to go, they were going to attack the Americans over here, and they did. But I forgot, I got to roll my technology, right? So they go do their tech research, and they were the first ones to get improved shipyards. And the Americans just moved theirs ahead 1-2. So it would be at least 2 turns for the Americans to catch up with them in the improved shipyards. Like you look at the stuff here that they've got. These things only cost them $5. Destroyers are only $5, right? These are only $5. Like your ships are -2, your subs are -1, right? And like they can just build and build and build and build and build. So one of the reasons that they were going to attack the Americans is because the Americans make more money than them, and the Americans will eventually overtake them, right? But doing this, I mean, they can just build up a wealth of ships right now, and be able to maybe hold off the Americans the whole game, you know, rather than going out and taking the chance at losing your Navy, like rolling back. Let the Americans come to you, right? I mean, it's the same principle as in Axis and Allies, right? Where do you want to fight on this side of the board, or do you want to fight on that side of the board, right? And so that principle is kind of the same here. What is interesting though is the sea zones, the way the sea zones are configured here. Like it's not like where you go to Hawaii and then if there's a blocker, you know, the Japanese put a blocker out here and then you can't get there, right? Like just because of the way all these sea zones are broken up in here, it's not easy to get across the water. Like it takes you a couple of turns to get across the water, regardless of whether it's the Japanese going to America or the Americans going to Japan. And down here as well, just the way they're broken up, it takes a while to get somewhere, right? And it's, you know, these guys here were going to come up and attack this Navy over here, but they just didn't have the strength. They just put down a couple of subs now, and maybe like if this is still here, then maybe they could do that. But that was one of the reasons that the Americans didn't come across, was because Anzac didn't attack these guys. They took a look at this, and it looked like these guys would have taken Anzac out on the first shot, and Anzac might have taken 2 units off. So that's not worth killing the entire Anzac force over here just to take 2 of these units off. But now with a couple of more subs in here, and plus this guy, like he was going to come down in here. This guy actually was able to take off $2 from the Japanese. So, you know, it wasn't total loss or anything by not going after them. One of the things that is hurting Japan right now is the Far East Command. Like they broke through Siam here and blitzed tanks into both these territories. So now France has an extra $2, like the Free French. They've got an extra 2 IPP to work with. Plus the Far East Command got that. You remember that the Italians are at war now. So they had, from the beginning of the game, they had 2 partisans here. So the British came up here with their commander and a bunch of infantry and took out the 2 partisans here. But there still is 3 partisans up here, right? These 3 partisans can hurt them. And so that's why they've moved a bunch of infantry here so they can go after those partisans. The partisans have started getting active in China. What they did was they went for resource disruption. So you roll the dice, like you roll a 12-sided dice, and a roll of 1 to 3 means that you take $1 to $3 off if you manage to hit 1 to 3. And so I think they were able to get $5 off the Japanese last turn. This turn they didn't get anything off them. And then down here, the Italians, like this was the problem with the Italians, right? Losing that navy and bringing themselves into the war. British were built right up, and so they took out Abyssinia and they took out this one here. The French were going to take this one out, but they thought, you know what, it would be more valuable for the British to have this dollar, because they're the ones that can actually do something in this game. The French, you know, like they don't even have a complex, right? So there's not much they can do in this game at this point. You know, it could be that France will be liberated soon. we'll see, right? And then France can get back in the game. And then when they do, they've got quite a number of units down here, but you know, those units can't really go anywhere, right? Like they don't have any transports, and they've only got one boat on the board, and that's this battleship down here. He came down from Britain because and also these ships came down from Britain because they're going to hunt this guy over here, right? They want to take that damaged battleship down before it gets repaired, and they start covering it, and then Italy starts building a navy again, right? Like they want to take that guy out as quick as possible. This Russian destroyer might even go in there and take a shot at him. We'll see. I'll just show you what's. I think I did show you this. This is what's still on Washington. So now there is quite a force. All of those guys over there are going to hit Europe next turn, and then these guys are going to move up, and then I'm going to throw down more guys over there. And so that will be the third wave. I don't know how a shuck's going to work in this game, because like if I was playing the proposed rules, then that might work, where you could go up to 5 spaces with a certain number of your boats. But I didn't start the game with that rule, so I'm not going to put it into this game part way through it, right? But yeah, that might help out definitely with a transport shuck going to Europe, and of course going to Asia from the Western United States. I think that's everything. I think I've covered everything. The stuff that I didn't cover is stuff that I talked about earlier, you know, like Spain and stuff like that. None of that stuff has changed. So anyway, that's it for 1943. I will get to 1944 as soon as possible. Also, I've got that contest. I've got to draw a name, so hopefully that will be done. If not later today, then I'll get to it for sure this week. I don't want to let it go too long, right? But I like to let people, you know, give them a chance to find that video and throw their name into the hat, right? So anyway, take care, everyone. General Hand Grenade out.